Well, Phil, you've got us all living on nerves, really, haven't you, at the moment? You're not doing it the easy way.
I don't think I've ever done easy in my life, regardless of what we're talking about there, whether it be football or life in general. I think it's just, I think it's a direct result of people buying into fresh ideas, fresh views, as it were, fresh opinions. A little bit of a breather, if you like, away from the league campaign, which can be, to a certain extent, taking your foot off the gas with regards to a lot of people, not for me. As far as we're concerned, we've got a one-off game, we've got a cup competition at the weekend that I want everybody that's involved foot on the gas 100%. I think that's important that the players who have been playing in the 4 games, in the main, it's not been too many changes, maybe 1 or 2 maximum. They've showed what they're capable of. That means, for me, there's a squad here that is still yet to prove themselves in front of my eyes, in front of Neil McDonald's eyes. And more importantly, I think it's with a view to the remaining 14 games that we have left, and pitching themselves in. Whatever they're giving in training has been good enough for who, in my eyes, worthy of a position somewhere down the line in the team. But they haven't had that opportunity yet, you know. I'm talking about players like maybe Owen Esketh, for instance, who more than impresses every day in training, but hasn't had the opportunity to be able to do it out there on the field yet. When that opportunity does come, individually and collectively, I still want to win a game of football. I think it's a great test for us at the weekend, to tell you the truth, because it's not what you would call salubrious surroundings, to say the least, but it's a proper old-fashioned non-league football club that can boast a history, that has every right to be in this competition and at the level that they're at, and they will be giving it 110%, like every non-league team does against a National League team, or every National League team does against an AFL League team. They're playing against a team that's above them in their eyes. It's a leveler, you know, the conditions, the pitch, the competition in itself, to tell you the truth. And it just shows you, I think, we're down to the last 16, and I think there's only 6, if I'm not mistaken, 6 National League teams left in there. So it just shows you that it won't be easy by any stretch of the imagination, and one that I am certainly not taking easy.
As we're speaking now, Thursday afternoon, have you heard any weather reports from Peterborough? Because obviously here we've had a lot of rain.
Yeah, it's not been the best. I drove here this morning from Oxfordshire, and it has to be said, I was questioning whether a game would be on at Agborough, let alone in Peterborough or anywhere in the footballing world. To tell you the truth, the heavens had been opened for probably over 24 hours, and it was horrendous driving across this morning. But I got here. We trained on a good pitch at Droitwich. We prepared for the game, and we will prepare again tomorrow for the game, as if the game is kicking off 3 o'clock on Saturday. End of story. If it doesn't, it'll be the referee's decision, not ours. But we'll take whatever comes, you know, whether it be the conditions where God Almighty has given us, or it'll be the conditions that Peterborough dish out on Saturday. We'll be prepared for it, and we'll be doing everything we can to get to the next round.
Hopefully, obviously, it will be on Saturday. If it isn't, does it move to Tuesday night? Is that what happens?
I think so, yeah, and that again moves the Solihull game again to a different date. I was just wondering whether to phone them up and just say, can we play on Saturday instead if the Peterborough game's off? But obviously, I think they're still in the competition as well. It makes for an uncertain time, but not to a player. To a football manager, it's my responsibility to make sure that the players are mentally and physically prepared. That's what we've been doing today, that's what we'll do tomorrow, and we'll play right up until, we'll be prepared right up until the time that anybody says that the game's changing. As far as we're concerned, we're playing at Peterborough Sports on Saturday at 3 o'clock kick-off, and hopefully getting into the last 8 of the FA Trophy.
Obviously, it is a test of character. You're going away to the lower graded side, as you say. The pitch might be the best given the rain we've had, but if one thing's for certain, you've proved test of character, you can come through that as a reason, really.
No reason why we shouldn't. I go back to my days when I was a non-league player, before my professional days, you know. I served my time as an electrician, which everybody knows, but I was playing Sunday League football at the Bents Park in South Shields, and you want to get windy conditions there, you'll know what it's all about. And non-league football, it's not a real test of character unless you haven't been there and seen the resolve of some of these teams. They've got some tremendous non-league players, non-league mentality that have got great resolve and find a way of winning games of football at that level. We've got to be prepared for that. They'll throw everything at us, and I'm expecting them to. If there's any kitchen sinks around, they'll be coming as well. But we'll have crash helmets on if necessary to head the ball. I believe in the last 3 or 4 weeks we have become almost number one defensively in terms of putting our bodies on the line. And what I mean, the things that you can measure, getting bodies in the way of shots, putting your head on crosses, stuff like that. That's music to my ears. If we keep that resolve and keep that kind of defensive mentality about us on Saturday, then hopefully whatever they do throw at us, we'll defend against, and hopefully at the other end of the field we'll have the quality to open them up. Which bodes for a decent game of football, in my opinion. It'll be one where that test of character, the character that I've been speaking so highly of the players in the last 3 or 4 games, again, from now to the end of the season, every 90 minutes of football, it will be tested, and Saturday will be no different.
You lost Matt Preston to injury early on last weekend. What's the news there?
Matty's had a scan. Scan results have come up as a grade 2 tear. He's not feeling too much pain, and I've had a hamstring myself, and when you say grade 2, grade 3, it tends to go into 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks. I don't think Matty Preston's anywhere near that myself. I think the way he is, he wants to be involved. He wants to be involved in a club that's winning games of football. He wants to be involved in a 90 minutes of football in the FA Trophy on Saturday, but he can't be. It won't be this week, and it certainly won't be Tuesday night against Solihull Moors. So we'll have to wait. If there are games that's postponed and cancelled because of weather conditions, that'll buy Matty some time. He has all our support from a medical perspective and a psychological perspective, because there's nothing worse when you're out injured and you want to contribute. So we will support Matty in everything that we possibly can and try and get him back fit as quickly as we possibly can, and I'm hoping, fingers crossed, it'll be in 2 to 3 weeks' time.
You mentioned you're taking the competition seriously. Are you likely to make many changes there, just to rest 1 or 2?
I don't think it's just a case of resting. I think there's probably only maybe 18 players we can choose from. So with the seven substitution situation, there'll be 18 players that have been involved on Saturday. They'll be involved again. We can't be making too many changes. We'll have a backbone of a team, a spine. I always think it's very important that you do have solid characters out there, players who understand what it's all about, players who understand the seriousness of the game, because it is serious, because if you put your best foot forward in these kind of competitions and you manage to get us to Wembley, which we're not too far away from, then why shouldn't he be playing in the league campaign? And the ones who haven't been playing in the games, in the 4 wins that we've had, might be getting 1 or 2 opportunities to show their best game, put their best foot forward, and hopefully, let's say metaphorically speaking, get in my face for the next league game.
Your league form has been good since you've come in. A trophy run though, as you mentioned, you get through this one, you're in the last 8. That can help the league form, can't it? Everybody wants to be involved in the big cup ties, so everybody goes up in degree perhaps.
I think a trip to Wembley is just a wonderful carrot to dangle. I was very fortunate as a player and a coach and a manager to be. I was asked a question in a podcast yesterday how many times I'd have been to Wembley, and I think it's 7 or 8 times. And with that in mind, it sounds like, oh, you must have forgot the first one. The first one was the most magical one. The first one was the Sherpa van, I think it was called at the time, back in the day when I was playing for Bolton Wanderers as a young 27, 28-year-old, whichever the case may be. I think it was back in 1991. We played Torquay in the final. I remember, I feel like it was yesterday when I go back to it in my mind. And it was a great day out, 48, 50,000 people turning up, glorious sunshine. I can remember, the temperature on the pitch at the time was something like, it was crazy. You were losing lots of weight with sweat, and all of these things are palpable, they're measurable in my mind. And when you go there for the first time, you want to go back again, you want to go back again, you want to go back again. I believe in the history of Kidderminster Harriers, and I've done a little bit of research on it. They've been to Wembley 3 times, if I'm not mistaken, and lost on every occasion. having been involved in the last one, 2-0 up at one stage, and it got beat 3-2 off Stevenage.
I was commentating on that one.
Yeah, well, there you go. You know, we've all got measures of Wembley and what it means to you, and it's always an emotional campaign. And to be 3 games away from that, I mean, that is a big enough carrot for anybody that's playing for Kidderminster Harriers on Saturday. That's a big enough carrot to win the game of football. If they're not interested in Wembley, then I'm not interested in them.
Final point, I mentioned Matt Preston obviously is out injured. How are you doing the slides in terms of interest? Did you come through largely unscathed?
Apart from Matty, you know, it's one of them where I think Sam Robinson, I'm hoping upon hopes he's going to be back short term as opposed to long term before the end of the season, so I can get a good look at him. He looks a good character to me, and I'd like to be involved with him and him vice versa involved with us between now and the end of the season. You helped me on this one. I honestly, when I get injured players, I do tend to forget very quickly because I'm focusing so much on the first team and whatever. But as far
Nat wouldn't we? Nat Martin, I suppose, the closest. He's done some training, hasn't he, Nat, the last couple of weeks?
Nate Percival, he was in full training today, which was the first time in full training. He has been involved in warm-ups. He has been involved in some part of the session where there was not so much contact. But he was in full training today, so Nat may not be too far away. Whether he'll play some part between now and the end of the season is another question. Fingers crossed, you never know. I think players on the periphery, players that have been injured, players that are out of it at the moment, they've been watching training and they've seen a group of players enjoying a football again. Basically down to the fact you win on Saturday, Monday to Friday seems to take care of itself to a certain extent, but there's still an awful lot of information going into the players, and I think players on the periphery want to be involved in that.
Very last point. Obviously, you fell foul with a referee last weekend. Are you allowed to be in the technical area on Saturday, or where are we with that?
I don't know where the technical area is at Peterborough. I've never actually been at Peterborough Sports, so does that mean I'm in the dugout on Saturday? No, I'm not. I've received a 1-match ban, and rightly so. You know, I accept with the responsibility of a manager of Kidderminster Harriers should. I fell foul of the wrong side of the law, and apologise to the Kidderminster Harriers supporters, especially the young ones that were at the game on Saturday. And I've got a 1-match touchline ban and received a fine, of which I more than doubled in-house. So let's see, the kids of Kidderminster will be seeing myself and hopefully Shane Byrne some stage next week at one or two of the assemblies in the morning, and hopefully a few words of wisdom from us too might put them on the straight and narrow.